about this long.
Dude, how are we gonna recover from this?
Alright guys, so we have our jack pins here. This was used from an accident where I ordered 4 tons of this tubing very long time ago, probably 4 years ago now, and we still have like 30 lengths of it left. Meant to order 20 feet and I think I ordered 200 feet instead. So we're gonna put this to good use in our new jack stand jig that I just whipped up. Nothing crazy, we've made jigs before and stuff, but this is particularly thought process included, what I thought was kind of cool for like laying tubes in. Let's start with the pin. So nothing's welded together yet. We have this pin piece that's gonna go underneath. Everything aligns with like tongues and grooves. This is just a leftover tab from the water jet. So these line up here and here. So when I drop this in, it's constrained at the circle and here and the depth. So you can literally just load the pin in. And then once you put the pin in here, imagine that's here for a second, this is gonna get welded, and then this is gonna get welded, and then these tabs are gonna catch the plate that's gonna sit there, which this is just a dummy plate, because I haven't cut the parts yet. But again, these line up tongue and groove style. That locks in there, that locks in there, so you can see this gap. The tube's gonna come sit on top of this edge, come through. As long as it's touching here and here, it'll find the pin perfectly. So if something's off, this piece will reconstrain it. And then once everything's in place, there's like maybe a 1/10 or like a 0.1, 0.2 millimeter gap between everything. And on a jack stand like this, that's pretty accurate. That's really accurate. So Cam's gonna weld this up. We're gonna start cutting some tubes, maybe by hand with a 3D printed template. I don't know, because we're kind of impatient when it comes to things like this. But the cuts have to be quite particular, quite specific, so we will need to do something to make it repeatable. We were even thinking of programming the live tooling lathe with a end mill and with the tube rotating, and we were actually thinking we could cut it on the live tooling lathe, and we could actually possibly make these in-house by doing it that way, which would be really cool. We don't have unlimited time, so little nerd out there for you. throwing on our freshly produced in-house jack stands where we did all of the most complicated ways of assembling tubage and took it upon ourselves to make a lot of cool fixtures and jigs to make this happen repeatedly. And now we have a product that we can actually sell, and we just installed it on my Corvette. Here Cam is, drop the car's weight on the 4 stands and get a real good look at what this baby's gonna look like in the pits. And then on top of this, we have a nice secret thing where we're gonna be able to use these jack stand tubes in the car, but also slide air jacks into them, so they're going to be able to externally lift the car using air jacks, but then the air jacks are gonna be removable. So this is cool, that's cooler. All of it's gonna be nicely packaged in a setup that's gonna be easier than any jack stand you've ever seen before.
Ready.
Yeah, look at it, man.
Looks pretty snazzy. Yeah, it beats the hell out of the Mastercraft jack stands I got, buddy.
So I was thinking for ultimate safety, obviously the pins can be rotated inside of the tube. If we then made something that can easily clamp this base to this base, it would not allow them to rotate anymore. Something that would be really easily connected would be super cool. Basically prevent this from ever, whether you're on a hill, a slant, or whatever, from ever being able to come down and fall. There's a couple scenarios where we were pulling an engine without an engine hoist in Spain, and it was super sketchy because when you're reefing on it with 6 guys and the engine gets hooked on something, you just want to drag the whole car with it because you can't hold that much weight. We put tires under it and stuff, and the car was like basically falling off the jack stands, but I would have been much more confident with something like this. There's just so many options. Now that you have pins in your car, it's like a fixture point for so many different things. At least for me. I mean, I'm looking at, you could put a scissor jack on the side, you could lift the car super high, you could put a pin in that has like a ball on it, and then you could use the hoist and pick up from the 4 points of the pins. There's so many different ways that you could use it. And because it's so wide and so outside of the rocker, it leaves the entire underside of the car available and open for all sorts of fun activities. So it's just cool. It's a lot of work. Like if you do want to do something like this, it is a lot of work. But realistically, in a couple days, you could do it. And for the price that we're going to sell these jack stands for, a couple days and a $600-700, you'd be into the best jack stand set for your race car you've ever seen. So the coolest thing about these jack stands is I can literally pull on them as hard as I can. I can actually move the car by tugging on it, and you'll see that these just drag along the floor because of their mechanical shape, the angle that we put them on, and then how far the pin goes into the chassis. And even on the other side, even though I'm pulling it away from the stand, because of the angle, it's got enough friction and pressure. It definitely should have, because I'm actually pulling the chassis away. It's just a matter of the mechanical connection that we're making with these. Way safer than jack stands. Okay, so I'm fully expecting this to rock off the jack stands and fall onto the skids. We're probably going to make some form of a lock that's either going to pin in from the tube and the pin, or it's going to connect the 2 jack stands together. We're confirming that it is going to fall over when some kind of force pushes hard on the car, and then we're going to try and further improve it based on what we find here.
Dude, how are we gonna recover from this?
Oh, looks like we're gonna have to scrap the car. Imagine you make a new cart that just has tubes with holes, so that you just roll it under the car and then you just slam 2 pins in.
Is that what you expected?
Yeah, I thought either all 4 would do that, or like it did 2 and then it kind of dropped on the side. I would likely put a pin here. That would be the simplest thing, but then there's so much leverage on it that it might actually shear the pin under a serious load. So the other thing would be you connect the two bases somehow with these. Maybe we have a flange that comes up off of this plate at the bottom, and then you just slap a piece that locks in with two pins. Something simple, something fast to join the two, and then it would be foolproof. This would be dragged across the floor and it would never be allowed to do what it did, basically trying to do like a kickflip or something. And that would make these by far the safest method ever to work on your car without a hoist. If anything, it's definitely just the safest way to ever work on your car is using something like this. So that's the end of this video, and we'll see you guys in the next one where we might do some mods here and we might add some pin mounted air jacks.